You've heard it from everyone. The insurance adjuster, your doctor, even your friends are making fun of you because they go, "It was just a love tap. Your car doesn't even have a scratch on it. Your neck can't be hurting you that bad." You're probably even questioning it yourself. There's no way that a 5-mile-per-hour car accident can cause this much discomfort. It doesn't make sense. It would be like walking into a wall. How can you have these migraine symptoms, dizziness, brain fog, and neck pain from something that minor? But this is actually an insane misconception that a lot of people fall for, because it doesn't make sense that something so slow-moving should cause that much problem. But in reality, the way cars are designed today are for high-speed collisions, not for low-speed accidents. Which is why today I want to talk about how that 5-mile-per-hour collision can cause just as much, if not more, discomfort than a high-speed impact. The biomechanics of what's going on with your body, the structures affected in whiplash, and all the reasons that'll make you sound smart whenever you tell your friends, "See, I told you my neck was jacked up." But then on top of all that, we're not just going to show you how to outsmart your friends, we're also going to show you how to help fix your symptoms. So stay tuned to the end of the video where I show you how to do that, and we can get you back to your normal life pain-free. To start things off, maybe you have a dad like mine and he's told you this over and over again despite you never having been in a car accident until recently. The biomechanical effects of a low-impact car accident are going to affect you as a driver way more than they would if it was a high-impact collision. And why that is because modern cars are designed with crumple zones. And if your dad also tells you about his first Dodge Dart, then he will tell you that that car did not have crumple zones. It did not have a way of dissipating impact on collision at high speeds, where modern cars are designed with segments that collapse, and then that way that energy isn't transferred to you, it's just absorbed by the car. The key fact is, though, that only happens whenever that collision is happening a little bit around 10-15 miles an hour or greater. But below those speeds, there's not enough force to cause that crumple zone to collapse. And what happens is all the force is transferred through the frame of the car, into the car seat, and then finally into your back and neck, where it whips back and forth. Think of it like a pool cue. You hit the cue ball with the stick, and then it hits the other ball. That momentum hits and transfers. It stops, and then the other ball goes flying. It's really cool to watch unless it's me playing, in which case both balls go flying off the table, but in a car collision at low speed, that cue ball is your car being hit by another car, and the second ball being hit by the cue ball is your spine and head. But then where does that leave you? What does that affect in your body, and how can you recover from it? Because a lot of people think of impacts in a car as totaled car equals a totaled body. Where yes, obviously in extreme cases that is what happens, but they also think the opposite then must be true. No damage to the car, no damage to you. But the fact of the matter, since all of that momentum is getting transferred into your spine and then into that whipping back and forth of your head, we have a couple different structures affected, mainly the muscles, bones, and ligaments in your upper cervical spine. But just in case that wasn't fun enough for you, we also do damage to the Golgi tendon organs and the muscle spindles, which are the nerves responsible for monitoring how tight or loose a muscle needs to be in order to keep your head on snug while also allowing it to move. This leads to a lot of fun things. So from a ligament perspective, your alar and transverse ligaments are the ones that basically hold your upper two cervical bones and your skull all in one nice, neat little happy family like the Brady Bunch. But simultaneously, the nerves in your suboccipital muscles at the base of your skull are the ones responsible for how your neck makes these micro adjustments to your ear signals and your eye signals based on how your head's oriented. When those get jacked up and you have 3 different signals coming into your central nervous system, you feel dizzy, you feel nauseous, you're in a bit of a fog because your central nervous system has to try and make sense of these 3 conflicting data points rather than just kind of corroborating the 3 saying these all check out and match up. Let's just move forward. This is then why the bigger muscles that hold your head on and your neck stable, like your upper traps, your scalenes, and your SCMs, get really tight because they're overcompensating for your suboccipitals that have no clue what's going on anymore because those nerves were overstretched. And then finally, the thing that you thought would have been the most important part is the third on our list, the bones. Because if those bones can't move properly, initially, yes, we have concerns of stability, but then long term, we also have concerns for arthritis, joint degradation, and finally stenosis, which is a narrowing of that central canal, that hole that your brainstem drops through. And as you can imagine, the thing that keeps you breathing and your heart beating, super important. So if we can have all of that affected by a 5-mile-per-hour love tap, it really goes to show why it's so important to do the right things after an accident, rather than just waiting to see what happens, or going the traditional route of immobilizing those joints. And this is why I refer to the next section as lies from a doctor. Not that your doctor is intentionally lying to you, but old school concepts on recovery from whiplash injuries aren't necessarily the most optimal for long-term recovery. For the longest time, we were all told if you've been in any kind of accident, not even necessarily a car accident, it could be an ankle roll. What we want to do is immobilize that joint, bring down the swelling, take some ibuprofen, and take it easy. But what we've realized is that long term, what that actually does is it leads to muscle degradation, fatty tissue infiltration, disafferentation of those nerves, which is another way of saying a bad coordination between your central nervous system and that muscle, which then leads to instability in that joint and a higher likelihood of you having similar injuries down the road. So when your doctor says don't move anything because that's going to agitate those muscles, they're not wrong. But the thing is, if we don't test those muscles, if we don't have a controlled resistance to those muscles, long term, we're going to have a lot more problems versus had we just sucked it up a little bit and started strengthening them and moving them right after an injury. But this does come with a disclaimer, because obviously if you have fractures or tears in your neck following an injury, you don't want to move it because it's unstable. However, if there are no major tears or fractures in your spine and you just wait and see, or you don't challenge that soft tissue, then all of that crud, all of the inflammatory chemicals just build up in an area, they continue to cause nerve irritation, and eventually you'll develop what's called central nerve irritation. Which a good way to think about it is how the first time you are exposed to something annoying, let's say a parakeet that doesn't quit squawking, or a little kid that asks 1,000 questions a minute, it's not that bad, it's tolerable. But after a month, it starts to break your soul. Which is why if we don't move that neck and we don't get some of the inflammation out of the area using natural methods instead of just ibuprofen, they're going to stay there, the nerve is going to get sensitized, and even if we fix the problem in the short term, long term that nerve is still going to think that it's under stress, under pressure. It learns to feel pain, which isn't what we want. What we want is to get you feeling back to normal and get back to your normal day-to-day life, which is why we're going to teach you the suboccipital reset. The point of the suboccipital reset is, one, to help relax the muscles at the base of the skull, but also to get the eyes to coordinate with those muscles again, so that we're not getting mixed signals from both sets of nerves. What this will eventually do is get those muscles in your neck to relax, getting that dizziness to dissipate, and also giving that panic sense that you might be experiencing following a whiplash injury to diminish, because we're working on an area where a lot of those nerves exchange information. And the good news is a lot of you are thinking, holy crap, that sounds like a lot of stuff. This is probably going to be super complicated. And that's where you would be wrong, because this is about as simple as it gets. All you need are 2 thumbs and your problem area, the base of your neck. What you're going to do is you're going to take both of those thumbs and you are going to place them at the base of your skull, right where your hairline ends, and just apply a little bit of pressure forward towards your eyes and upwards towards the ceiling. Gentle pressure. We're talking about maybe 1 pound of pressure, just enough to make your fingernail turn white. So not anything that should be causing you any discomfort or pain. And what we're going to do is, while you hold that position, you are going to look all the way to your left and hold for 30 seconds. Back to center. You can relax if you need to. Reapply pressure. Look all the way to your right for 30 seconds. And repeat this 5 times each side, or until you start feeling a little nauseous, because we might overstimulate your nervous system right off the bat. It's like any other exercise, you need to get used to doing it. But just because it makes you a little bit uncomfortable doesn't mean that you avoid it altogether. You just need to get acclimated. Because that way, rather than your friends making fun of you for having headaches and nausea and neck pain following a 5-mile-per-hour accident, you can recover quickly. Or at the very least, make your symptoms tolerable until you find more professional help. But Dr. Beck, I'm confused. You just told me that my doctor lies to me and now you're saying go get professional help. What are you talking about? Is this a sales pitch for me to come to you? Is there somewhere else that I should be going instead of my medical doctor? No. The main thing is just realizing if you have a medical doctor telling you not to move your neck, you probably need to seek out a little bit of extra guidance, either a physical therapist, maybe a massage therapist, maybe a chiropractor, might even just be another medical doctor. Because I hate to say this, but if we're being honest, if you have a doctor that graduated from school in the 70s, things have changed in the last 55 years. And I'd rather you be getting the most up-to-date assistance with recovery than doing something that's outdated and might leave you with long-standing issues. But the nice thing with having some additional professional help is you're getting an objective set of eyes to diagnose what's going on with your neck pain and whiplash injury, and you also have another set of hands that can help massage out inflammation in that area, diagnose other trigger points that are going on, maybe even notice bruising or swelling that you didn't know you had going on because it's the back of your neck. You never look back there. But also most importantly is I'm just a chiropractor on YouTube. I've never even met you. And so as useful as all this information is, it's really not going to be helpful if you don't have someone else trained looking at your condition specifically to figure out what the best course of action is for you. But just because I'm not your doctor doesn't mean I don't want to help. And there's nothing worse than going to talk with another medical professional and having no clue whether or not what they're saying is accurate or not. You just have to follow them on blind trust, which is why I put together a bunch of free resources. There is a link down in the description that'll take you to a whole library of free resources. You can download them straight to your computer, but they're to help with things like exercises you might want to consider for your whiplash, stretches you might want to avoid, ways you can set up your desk or your bed at home so that it doesn't irritate your neck as much, and then also codes and other resources that would be helpful for getting X-ray imaging or an MRI. Now, if you would feel more comfortable coming to this office in Brackenridge and you're local, by all means you can schedule. That link's also down in the description, because that way we can work on this hands-on and we can get a better idea of the specifics we want to be doing for your condition, determining if you need a chiropractor, a physical therapist, or if you actually need to go see a medical doctor because it's beyond just the normal trauma you see at 5 miles per hour. But in either case, I'd love to work with you because whiplash cases are some of the most fun cases I see, because a lot of the time we're taking people from an absolutely hopeless situation and getting them on the road to a full recovery. And finally, if you would like to start your whiplash recovery today, but you can't make it to the office, go head down in the description and check out the Whiplash Recovery Blueprint. There, I'm taking you all the way from day one after a whiplash injury to fully recovered and able to navigate your environment without any aching, dizziness, or nausea feelings that are secondary to that impact from the whiplash. That way, even if you can't make it to the office, you can still get back to living your day-to-day life without pain or fear of re-injury. And with that, I'm Dr. Beck. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you got value from this video, make sure to leave a like so that other people on YouTube have an easier time finding it, and that way this content can help more people get back to making the most of their one life. And I will see you in the next video.